Alrighty, everybody. So today we're going over random sampling, random assignment, and stratified sampling. So with random sampling, you have a population that has an equal probability of being selected. So we have our population right here of sour Skittles, and let's say there's 50 Skittles, and we need to have a sample of 10, right? So one way we could do this is we have our 50 Skittles right here in a bowl. You could put it in a hat, you could put it in something, whatever, and you can just mix them up, just mix them up, and you could simply just like close your eyes and pick out 10, right? So you could just come here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So right here, I have my sample population based off of just randomly grabbing them and picking them up. So that is one way of doing it. There's another way. You could also use a random number generator. So you can get all 50 Skittles, line them out, and number them 1 through 50, right? And then you could use a random number generator, and you could use the first 10 that the random number generator pops up. The first 10 you'll use in your sample, and you could do it that way. But a problem with this could be you might get one color might be overbearing over all the other colors. Right here in our population, we seem to have a pretty good mix, 2 purple, 2 green, 3 red, 2 orange, and 1 yellow. So I mean, not, it's a pretty good mix of the population, but I could have just randomly picked like 5 orange, right? And like half of my population would have been all one color, and that probably would have been helpful for my research because it's not reflective of the population. So one way we could do this, you can use stratified sampling, which you would group the population based on a certain criteria. So in this case, we're grouping them based on color, right? So you would have each color laid out. So you have your purple, red, orange, green, and yellow. And each of these groups is called a strata. That's why they call it stratified sampling, because you have different strata. A lot of times you might see this used with, dividing people up based off of gender, so male, female. Maybe if you're using a school population, you might see the strata as juniors, seniors, freshmen, and sophomore, the grade levels like that. That's another way you could use stratified sampling, because in a school population you might have you might have 100 students, but the students might not be evenly distributed, and you don't want there to be an overbearing amount of juniors or seniors or freshmen maybe, right? So you want to make sure that everything reflects the population. So here we have our Skittles, and let's just say there's about 10 Skittles in each of our strata, right? So we have about 50 Skittles right here. And so we need to get a sample of, let's say, 15, all right? So in order to do that, we do random sampling based on our strata. So we need 15 Skittles to go back into our bowl to be our sample. So I could do this a number of different ways. I could grab separate bowls and put each color into a different bowl, mix them up, and basically do what I did again, and just randomly, close my eyes and randomly pick one out, and then go to the next bowl, close my eyes, randomly pick one, and or I could number all the green ones, number all the yellow ones, number all the purple ones, number all the red ones, number all the orange ones, and use a random generator, and basically whatever number pops up, I take that number Skittle and I use that as my population. So stratified sampling still uses random sampling because we want our sample to be random. We don't want to, pick, oh, I want this Skittle, that Skittle. You don't want to have any bias in your research, so you need to make sure everything's going to be randomized. So, I could just, mix all the purple ones up, right? And then just randomly pick one. And then, same thing for the next group. And then for the next one. Obviously for Skittles, it's not as important because pretty much they're all very similar. So I could just pick one and then we go around again and pick, just randomly pick, right? And then last time around. So now we have our random population, or rather our random sample right here, and it's pretty, it's going to reflect our population, so that's good. So that's pretty much what our random sampling and our random sampling and our stratified sampling is. Now for random assignment is putting the participants into groups that are going to be manipulated, right? So you're going to have two groups. Usually it's going to be your control group and your experimental group. So there's different ways of doing this. You can do what is called a single blind study, which the participants do not know which group they're in, but me, the researcher, does. So I would know where to put, I would know which participants in which group, but I would still randomly assign them to a group, right? Like I might have my population here, and I would grab the first like 7 or first like 6 I pick, go into the experiment, and then the remaining go into control, right? Based off of that order, I could pick one and then flip a coin and say if it's heads, it goes into control. If it's tails, it goes into experimental. So there's different ways you could do that, but I still know who's in which group. Another way you could do is a double blind. Essentially, it's the same exact thing. You're still putting participants into control and experimental groups, but I don't know where those participants are, and also the participants don't know. So you have some third-party person come in and randomly just put them into those groups. Obviously, they'd be doing like the same kind of method, randomly selecting them, randomly doing that, and putting them into different groups. So essentially, that is what all 3 of those mean. So looking forward to watching your guys' videos about this and responding to your responses. So good luck, everybody.